For the sizzling stir fry, you need to get all of your ingredients prepared before you start, because the whole point of stir frying is that it's a quick method of cooking, so everything needs to be prepped before you start to cook. So I have all my ingredients out and ready to prepare. I've got some chicken breast, a pepper, cabbage, onion, small onion, noodles, chilli, garlic, ginger, and then I've got soy sauce and oil. And the first thing that I'm going to do is pop my noodles into some boiling water. The noodles only take 4 minutes to cook, but I just want to make sure that they're going to be ready when I want to do the stir fry. And I'm going to start with the vegetables and do the chicken last. So you need half an onion or a small onion, and remember to keep all of your rubbish out of the way and off your board. And just as before, if you cut your onion in half through the way it grows, it makes it nice and easy to take off layers of skin. So my onion, I'm just going to do straight across into half moons. You don't want to make everything too small for your stir fry, otherwise you'll find that some of your ingredients will burn. So half moons with the onion is absolutely fine. If you chop it, you might well find that it burns. So I'm going to put the onion to one end of my board, do a single clove of garlic, and garlic, remember, if you put your knife blade towards the board, press down with your hand, you should hear that crack. And again, same thing, peel that, and that can be chopped. So just quickly peel the garlic, take the end off, and then you can chop that up. So between my fingers, bridge hold, chop down, turn it around, and I'm just going to chop it roughly that way. And then if you've got time, you can make your pieces a little bit smaller. You can rock your knife through them, chop your garlic up a little bit smaller, but I'm going to keep it separate from the other vegetables that I'm doing on this board. And the last vegetable I'm going to do on that little board is my root ginger. Now, root ginger is much easier to peel with a teaspoon than a knife. So if you scrape your teaspoon across the root ginger, it just peels the skin off and it makes it so much easier for you. So peel off the skin for the root ginger. It's up to you, you need about an inch, but I really like root ginger, so I've got slightly more here because I really like the taste of fresh ginger in a stir fry. So I'm going to use quite a bit of this, and then when you've peeled as much skin as you can then use your knife to get rid of any extra bits and the ends where it's not particularly looking good. Root ginger is really fibrous, so I'm just going to cut all these bits off because I've still got plenty, and I bought this just for this recipe. So it's really fibrous and I don't like it in lumps. However, it is up to you. You can just slice your root ginger across like that, or you can grate it. And if I'm going to grate, I like to use little tiny holes on a grater so that I don't have big lumps of root ginger, but that's my personal preference. If you're grating your root ginger, you can see all the fibres coming off it, and you do get quite a bit of liquid. But as I say, it's up to you. You can slice it, you can grate it. If you grate it, you don't seem to get a great deal of it, but you do get a lot of the juice. And when you're done, grating that bit into the bin, and you have a pile of grated ginger on your board. You can use the back of your knife inside the grater to get out any extra bits, and remember to wash that up with a brush. So that's the start of my vegetables. I've then got the other vegetables that need to be done. So I have cabbage, pepper, mushrooms and chilli. The pepper, you only need half a pepper, so cut that in half, and it's very easy to just pull the seeds out of the middle. So I'm just going to pull those seeds out of the middle there, and I need to cut this into slices. So I'm just going to cut this into slices, not too thick, because we want everything to be cooked through at the same time. So just slices of pepper. And then, because I think those slices are quite big to be picked up and eaten in one go, I'm just going to cut those in half. So I've done slices of pepper into half, so I have pieces that will easily fit onto a fork. The only mushroom that I had at home was this large field mushroom, so because it's a large field mushroom, I'm just going to peel it quickly. You can wipe your mushrooms in if you like, and then it's entirely up to you. I'm just going to use bridge hold, slice this mushroom. You can do your mushrooms into slices, into quarters. It depends how you like them to be cooked, but again, because this is quite big, I'm going to just cut those in half again, so that my pieces of mushroom and my pieces of pepper are similar in size. I'm keeping them separate from the peppers, and then I'm going to shred a little bit of cabbage. So I don't need all of this cabbage. I'm just going to take some of that off, and I'm just going to discard one layer of cabbage. If it falls apart, you can easily put that back together. So please don't throw away loads and loads of your cabbage. And I've cut that in half, and I'm just going to use claw grip and just shred my cabbage. So I want it to be quite fine pieces, because this is going to go in towards the end, and I want it to cook all the way through. So I don't want huge bits of cabbage in there. I want the cabbage to be cooked through and cook quite quickly. So there we go. That's my cabbage done, and the last thing that I have left is the pepper, which I'm going to put on this board. So this is my last vegetable that I've got left. I'm going to keep, should have just turned the board round like that. So I'm going to keep my onions, my garlic, my ginger separate still, but I just need to show you how to do the chili pepper. So your chili, you've only got half a chili, which is plenty. When you cut it open, it's up to you if you leave the seeds in or not, but the seeds will make your food hotter. So I'm going to take the seeds out of this chili. So I'm just using my knife to gently cut along the white that holds the seeds in place, going to knock the seeds out. And it actually looks like there's a bad bit in this chili there. I don't know if you can see that, but it's quite dark in colour. So I'm just going to chop that bit off, and I might do the other half as well. The chili I'm just going to leave in horseshoe rounds. And you need to be really careful with this. The cut edge of the chili is what it gets over your finger. The juice from the chili then gets onto your fingers, and that is what will make you cry. So you put as much or as little chili in, but you have to remember now not to put your fingers anywhere near your eyes, or you will be crying. And boys, you need to be very careful when you go to the toilet, when you go for a wee, because you'll have a similar problem with a different part of your body if you've got chili all over your fingers. So the last thing to be done is the chicken. Before starting my chicken, I've just given my worktop a quick tidy because I don't like to have all the mess on my worktop. The chicken needs to be cut into thin slices. So I'm going to cut my chicken breast in half. You don't have to use a whole chicken breast for this, but I need to slice across it and get small pieces of chicken. So I'm just moving it around on the board. What's important is you keep your chicken slices an even thickness. If they're an even thickness, then they're going to cook through nice and evenly in the pan. If you have, doesn't matter that some are going to be slightly bigger than others, it's the thickness of them that will make the difference to the cooking time. So half a chicken breast is probably plenty for this recipe, but I'm going to use a whole chicken breast because I have 2 people at home to eat this. So slice your chicken and then you're ready to go. So you have all of your vegetables and your meat prepped, ready so that you can add it to the pan as soon as you are needing it. Okay, at home I don't have a wok, so I'm going to do this in a large frying pan, and I'm just going to add 10 mils of oil to my pan to start frying the chicken. And I'm just going to put 1 piece of chicken in there in the oil so that I know when the chicken is done. The noodles are just sitting in the water they were cooked in, and as soon as my chicken starts to sizzle, I'm going to add all of the rest of the chicken and just stir this over and cook it for 3 to 4 minutes until I can't see any more pink on the chicken. Hopefully you can see the chicken is now starting to sizzle in the oil, so I can add all the rest of my chicken into this pan. And I need to stir this and fry this until the chicken is completely white. So all the chicken is white on all sides. So that first bit of chicken that went in is already white on one side, but I need to separate these pieces of chicken out and stir them, make sure that they are cooked all the way through. If you like, you can. I like to do this sometimes. I know this is a stir fry, but sometimes I will spread my chicken out like this and just leave it until I can see the white at least halfway up the sides of the chicken, and then I will turn it over and cook it again. If you are stir frying properly and you're continuously turning this over, it's the same thing. We need the chicken to be white all the way over, and it will take a good 4 to 5 minutes for that to happen. Okay, my chicken is cooked for 3 to 4 minutes, and you can see that it's now completely white on the outside. So it's time to add other ingredients to this pan. On the recipe it says to add all your ingredients in there. So I'm putting in, to start with, the onion, the garlic and the chilli. Onion, garlic, chilli and the ginger. And just before I add anything else, I'm just going to stir this up so that all the vegetables or all the chicken gets coated, hopefully, in the onion and the ginger, because I do like the ginger to be over everything. And as you put that in, you should be able to smell those spices, the ginger and the garlic definitely starting to cook. And once I've stirred those in, I'm putting in the pepper and the mushrooms. and I'm just going to stir those up for a minute. You can, as your recipe says, add everything in one go, but I like to put mine in a few ingredients at a time because they take different amounts of time to cook. So I'm going to put those in, just stir that for a little bit, just for a quick 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'm going to add my shredded cabbage. So that's going on the top, and I'm now putting my timer on, and I'm going to cook this for 2 minutes. So I'm going to keep stirring, keep turning this over so that all those flavours get mixed for the next 2 minutes. And you should see that your vegetables are starting to soften. You need to keep the heat on this so that your chicken does not cool down. So we need to maintain the heat, and if it stops sizzling, you've got to turn it back up again and just cook this for 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. So that's had 2 minutes. You can see the cabbage is starting to cook, the other vegetables are heating through, and I'm just going to drain my noodles. I left the noodles in the water so that they wouldn't dry out and stick together, and they need to go into the pan now to be heated through at the same time as adding the soy sauce. So I'm just going to put in a dessert spoonful of soy sauce as well. Stir this up, and again just give it a couple of minutes to heat through. Make sure that your noodles are nice and hot, that everything is coated in all the flavours, and your stir fry is done. So once you can see that your noodles and everything else has some soy sauce on it, you can take this off the heat. If you want to be absolutely certain that your chicken is cooked, find one of your biggest, fattest bits of chicken and cut it through. That knife went through really easily, and I can see that the chicken is white inside. If you have a temperature probe, you can use a temperature probe, and the temperature of your chicken should be 75 degrees or above. So this is done, and it can be served.